Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining this edition of the Green New York Lunchtime Learning webinar series. Greetings from sunny New York City. We're happy to be here with you today. My name is Brendan Woodruff. I'm the Director of Sustainability at the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. So a couple of housekeeping items before we get started here today. The first is that everybody is on mute upon entry. If you do have questions during the webinar, please type them into the chat box. We will read those questions off to our presenters at the end of the webinar here today. So if you do have questions, please type them into the chat box. In addition, this webinar is being recorded and it will be posted afterwards for folks to access. That way you can go back and see something if you'd like to again, or you can share it with your colleagues who might not have been able to make it here today. In addition, I want to let folks know there may be a few changes to the series going forward. When we've decided what those changes are going to be, we'll be in touch via email so that folks still have access to our record and updates on when the next editions will be coming out. In addition, our next webinar is going to be taking place on Tuesday, May 9th. It is going to be on avoiding conflicts with bears and coyotes. I've put the registration link in the chat here. We have two phenomenal DEC biologists presenting on this topic, which I think is pertinent given that it is spring now, animals are more active, people are more active, so we want to avoid those conflicts whenever possible. So moving on to today's webinar, I'm very excited for it. This is a topic we've had folks ask about a couple times, and we have two fantastic presenters here today. We have Jillian Palmer and Linda Murray. I also want to give a shout out to Linda for stepping up and taking on a leadership role within the Green New York program in terms of training and engaging staff. So thank you very much, Linda. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thanks, Brendan. Hi, everyone. As Brendan mentioned, my name is Linda Murray, and I am the Sustainability Coordinator for the New York State Department of Labor. And I'm also here with my colleague, Jillian Palmer.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jillian, and I'm the Clean Energy Workforce Fellow here at New York State Department of Labor.
So to start us off, we're going to talk a little bit about the Department of Labor and how it serves New York State. So first, we help New Yorkers find careers they will love by connecting them with employment, training, and upskilling opportunities. We also build and support New York's businesses, helping them find qualified workers and keeping them informed about tools and incentives to make their businesses thrive. And lastly, our commissioner, Roberta Reardon, is a strong advocate for workers and ensuring that individuals have a safe workplace where they receive a fair wage. As a member of the Climate Action Council, she's worked alongside other state agencies and unions to ensure that the clean energy workforce in New York State follows a just transition. Today's presentation will go over just some of our agency's clean energy initiatives and tips for anyone interested in exploring a green career. So I want to preface this presentation by saying that there is an abundance of information out there in regards to green jobs. It's a fast-growing and emerging market, and it requires professionals from all different backgrounds to meet the growing job demand. So in this presentation, we're going to outline the following items. We're going to provide an overview on what exactly the clean energy workforce means and discuss why people are seeking this type of career. We're also going to explore the clean energy career pathway examples and talk about different ways that you can upskill your work to maybe enter the clean energy workforce. We're also going to provide resources available for green job seekers, and we will wrap up with some of our own agency's initiatives. As I'm sure many of you know, in 2019, New York State passed one of the most ambitious climate laws in the nation, and it's known as the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, also known as the CLCPA, also known as the Climate Act. Our state's commitment to workforce development is twofold in this. So we'll be strengthening the overall green economy and strengthening the economic equity through job creation in disadvantaged communities. And this slide provides a few of our green energy targets. One of those most pertinent to today's presentation is creating good jobs and a thriving economy, which brings us to making sure that we can build out a clean energy workforce and what that means.
Thank you, Linda. So in order to ensure that we build an equitable and fair supply chain we want to have inclusive definitions of what are green jobs. Traditionally, when we think about green jobs, a lot of the focus is on energy efficient jobs, such as those installing solar panels or constructing wind turbines. That's really what the first bullet on this slide is speaking to. Jobs and businesses that produce goods or provide services that benefit the environment or conserve natural resources. The second part of the definition involves a broader interpretation of green jobs. Jobs in which workers' duties involve making their establishment's production processes more environmentally friendly or use fewer natural resources. An example of this is the Green Chips legislation, signed by Governor Hochul. It is one of the ways that New York State is leading the nation in semiconductor manufacturing, ensuring green principles are integrated from construction to production. So, much like the federal government's Clean Energy Corps, the clean energy workforce in New York State touches on a variety of sectors. This graphic really represents how the green economy can overlap in the myriad of interests in intersecting growing industries. One component I'd really like to highlight on this slide is the information technology piece. A major aspect of modern climate adaptation and mitigation techniques includes the utilization of artificial intelligence as well as machine learning. From recycling to flood risk management, you can apply IT skills in a variety of sectors in the clean energy industry.
Thanks, Jill. So here we have a diagram explaining the circular economy. New York State recognizes the need to transition to a more circular economy. And one of the tenets of circularity is recapturing waste as a resource. So this means that from the beginning of a product cycle, we're implementing our 4 Rs: reduce, reuse, remanufacture, and recycle. We're also making our jobs more durable and we're also making our products more durable and efficient, leading to more jobs and fewer carbon dioxide emissions. So globally, with thoughtful policy, a shift to a more circular economy has the potential to create up to 100 million jobs worldwide.
Working towards a more sustainable future is working towards a better future. This is something that has been recognized by the International Labor Organization through through the commencement of their Jobs for Youth Pact. While young people are searching for good pay and stability in their jobs, companies such as Accenture are seeing that youth are also looking to the green economy to join companies with a more genuine commitment to sustainability. And that's really what this pie chart is showing, is that with their survey, more than half of those surveyed have an aspiring interest to join the green economy in the next 10 years. There are also many other incentives to joining the clean energy workforce. Individuals may want a green job because they have higher than average job growth and wages, or they'd like to enter an occupation with higher unionization rates.
And as previously mentioned, the Climate Act was passed in 2019 and created a list of targets and benchmarks. These include greenhouse gas reductions, how and where clean energy is created and stored, infrastructure, and of course, workforce training and development. So this slide demonstrates the state's progress and our targets that are set by the Climate Act. To date, there have been over 157,000 jobs created around clean energy, and we are well on target to surpass the 2030 goal of 200,000 jobs. A career in clean energy or the green economy can start anywhere in a person's career. Here we have examples of the potential career tracks within waste management. While this industry is often overlooked in the green economy, it is integral in, it is an integral component of environmental sustainability. In this example, a recycling and reclamation worker can pursue the path that best fits with their interests. One is the trade path to a hazardous material remover worker, which will typically require vocational experience. And the other is enrolling in college or university to become a sustainability specialist. As you can see, both of these paths will result in an increase in average earnings overall.
We wanted to provide a few examples of growing occupations across a variety of industries and topics. These jobs all fit within a criteria defined as Bright Outlook, which can mean they are newer occupations or are expected to grow faster than the national average. Within agriculture and farming, we have precision agriculture technicians and farm equipment mechanics. These salaries are typically falling within the 39 to 47,000 range. Disaster risk management is another area related to green jobs, and financial risk specialists, as well as compliance managers, are occupations we expect in this field. These salaries range between 100 to 130,000. For energy trading, which covers financial services related to buying and selling energy as a commodity, as well as carbon trading projects, we have wind energy operation managers and sustainability specialists. These salaries range between the high 70s and 130,000. Lastly, the environmental remediation category. This covers occupations such as construction managers and brownfield redevelopment specialists. These occupations' salaries are near 130,000 a year. Now I'll pass it to Linda to tell us more about the future of hydrogen in New York State.
Thanks, Jill. So if you guys don't mind holding on a brief minute, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to map out live what a career track can look like in hydrogen power. Okay. So here we have the Department of Energy's website, and this is a great resource for anybody looking to get into the clean energy field and see what this could look like. Right now, we're going to scroll down to the hydrogen sector. And as shown from the graphic, this is basically points within the career where you can either start or get into. So if we go to an entry level position here, let's start with the electrician. We can see from this that it can track to multiple different levels, both advancing in their career and moving into different silos, which is really exciting. So through training programs or further education, an electrician could eventually become a project manager, a professor, an attorney, or an engineering manager. If we look at an instrumentation and electronics technician, we can see that there is a clear track for them, although not as varied. But when we go to the next path, again, you can see that it opens up a lot more as well. Now, if you're interested in seeing what the requirements are for each of these positions, they do have a job detail that you click on, providing the average minimum education requirements, salary statistics, job skills, job duties, and the profile. So if someone wants to build their career or at least begin developing it towards these goals, they have a great benchmark for that. And as the state continues to shift away from fossil fuels, it will eventually lead to displaced workers. And in New York State, unfortunately, we estimate losing around 20,000 jobs due to the clean energy transition. However, jobs gained due to the transition is expected to be 200,000. So this puts the ratio of jobs gains to losses at 10 to 1, which is absolutely fantastic. The building sector, which includes both residential and commercial, is one of the areas projected to have the most growth, while occupations tied to conventional fueling stations will likely see the most decline. And some jobs that are considered within here are the fueling station attendants, gas station workers, etc. In the case where there may be a business with 50 plus impacted workers from a layoff, we deploy our rapid response team. And the rapid response team is a service that we offer to businesses and employees affected by cutbacks and site closings. We provide early job placement assistance and other service resources. Also within the Division of Employment and Workforce Solutions, there's a new office opening, as Jill will discuss in the next slide.
Thank you, Linda. We at the Office of Just Energy Transition will use our agencies, as well as our partner agencies' expertise to support transitioning fossil fuel workers to the clean energy workforce. We will assist communities burdened by fossil fuel infrastructure and provide a specific focus on disadvantaged communities and individuals with barriers to work. As Linda stated, New York State is anticipating both job loss and job gain from the transition to a clean energy economy. Based off of the job study done with the Just Transition Working Group, we'll be looking for opportunities to expand employment in growing sectors such as buildings, solar, and offshore wind. We'll also build out skills assessments for those in fossil fuel sectors who want to move over to clean energy. We'll also be monitoring federal initiatives to see where we can leverage national funding opportunities to bolster New York's economy. Using New York State's guiding principles of just transition, we will work with local communities to provide equitable opportunities to drive the change to a low-carbon, inclusive supply chain. Throughout this process, we hope to strengthen local economies while protecting and restoring our natural resources to provide a more sustainable path forward for future generations.
Thanks, Jill. Our agency's ongoing efforts include coordinating with NYSERDA with on-the-job training for new employees. And the Future of Work team has a toolkit that touches on major topical areas of the future of work, such as artificial intelligence and the clean energy transition. We're also part of ongoing efforts to highlight federal and state programs that assist businesses with increasing energy efficiency and sustainability. This is another example where I will be sharing my screen with you all to show some opportunities that are right there available to everyone to access. So let me share my screen again. So here we have NYSERDA's Workforce Development and Training for the clean energy workforce. They provide a lot of great information for all walks. So businesses, job seekers and students, and then owners and training providers. Another area within NYSERDA that's a really great resource is for job seekers and students. This provides a lot of great guidance as to how they can build their career. It also lists various training opportunities for clean energy. The last item that I'd like to highlight is the Future of Work Toolkit located on the DOL's website. So as we mentioned, they have a clean energy transition. And this also provides information for how people can enter the clean energy workforce. We will be sharing all of these links at the end in the chat, so do not worry about that. Okay, and I know we talked a lot about what the Department of Labor is offering and what they're doing to build careers in sustainability. But if you're in an occupation where you would like to incorporate more green initiatives, we recommend pursuing credentials or certifications. So for example, if someone's in construction or architecture, they may be interested in pursuing a professional accreditation such as LEED or Certified Green Purchasing Professional. There's also a lot of opportunities within professional organizations, such as the Association of Energy Engineers, the Institute for Electrical and Electronics Engineers. To explore other opportunities related to the green economy, again, we recommend the clean energy trainings that I just showed on the NYSERDA. They cover solar, energy storage, electrification, and so much more. So again, I can't stress enough to check out NYSERDA's sources on that. So here we also have some QR codes and links. I know that you can't access the actual hyperlinks, but you can use the QR codes if you're accessing this presentation at a later date. This will lead you to all of the links that we showed throughout the presentation. And again, we'll also be sharing these in the chat. So thank you, everyone. We hope you enjoyed this presentation. We'd love to open it up for the Q&A and hear what you have on thoughts.
Yeah, thank you so much, Linda and Jillian. That was a great presentation and a lot of resources there. One of the things that I really liked about that you touched on here was the massive growth potential in green jobs. A lot of times, that doesn't get emphasized as enough. Obviously, we have a lot of environmental crises out there, but I think to see it laid out in stark terms here, the sheer number of jobs we're looking at, the different types of jobs that are going to be needed, and really how much opportunity there is for folks in the clean energy economy, I think is a really important thing for folks to understand and be able to share with their friends, families, and others. If folks have questions, please type them into the chat box here. I've got one kind of right off the bat here for you. Is you talked a little bit about the rapid response program and some of what you're doing in the just transition. If there's somebody kind of in mid-career and they're interested in making the jump into the clean energy economy, how would they interface with DOL, or where could they get started?
I'll start us out a little bit. So we have about 92 career centers located across the state, and I'd recommend that as your first step to joining the clean energy workforce. You will have NYSDOL employees there, and they can give you more information on what opportunities may be in your local area.
Mm-hmm. And so another question here for you is, you have a lot of resources there in terms of kind of the overall general New York State economy. If people are interested in learning more about their specific area, do you have resources tailored to where folks are living right now?
There are, again, I guess I'll take this one. There are some studies that were conducted at a regional level, so the 10 regions or so across the state, we have some data on the clean energy workforce on that level. But if we're talking more municipal level, there are no specific resources that I know of, but I would be happy to look into it further.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. And I think that's one of the things too that I've gotten questions about is what can I do in my area? People see solar panels going up one place, they see wind turbines another, they see hydrogen facilities going up somewhere else. And I think one of the things this presentation hit on is that these opportunities are literally everywhere. And they're in everyone's communities. So, if you
Right.
have more questions and thoughts about that, feel free to
So
let us know.
yeah, and so I think there's another additional resource that people can check for that as well. I think that if they engage the Empire State Development website, you can see what projects are currently being funded by the state as it relates to clean energy. And as I'm sure you're aware, Brendan, there are a lot of state-funded energy projects going on. So you can kind of see what's happening in your neck of the woods. And also, again, NYSERDA, they will have some resources. I believe that job training, they provide trainings and they have it specifically by locations too. So.
Mhm. And that leads to another question here is in terms of job training funds, programs, apprenticeships, and things like that, where would folks learn more about those?
That's a great question. So again, I have to give my hats off to our partners at NYSERDA. They really handle the majority of the clean energy job training programs. And again, on that website, it shows a number of options and training that both individuals and businesses can take advantage of. Most of the time when it's a business, they can apply, it's called a PON, and they can apply for a funding opportunity in that manner to host on the job training within their company. But they also provide for individuals that are looking for it as well.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I would just like to add to that I'll also be putting in the chat our New York State Registered Apprenticeship Program, which may be again, going back to that more broad definition of green jobs, expanding the energy efficiency as well.
Mhm. Yeah, and this is a question from me here. And so, especially at DEC, we work with colleges fairly regularly in terms of recruitment events and other things. And I'm seeing more and more kind of sustainability programs, environmental studies programs, and things like that. Does DOL have any kind of information on kind of college, looking at what majors can lead to what careers and things like that? If there's younger folks, say in high school, that are thinking about, where they want to head if they want to work in this sector.
Okay. I'll start, and Linda, if you have anything to add, please feel free.
Sure.
I think a lot of what we're working with is the national resources that are out there. So the Department of Energy career map that we showed is one instance of what is out there for college students. And there are also, for teachers and for primary and secondary schools, there are a lot of resources also sponsored by the Department of Energy, as well as scholarships and fellowships that they just announced for nuclear. So I think it's really those traditional STEM programs, and for further information about what may be out there for specific programs, I think a lot is offered by the Department of Energy.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for that. And a reminder, folks, if you do have questions as we're chatting here, feel free to type them into the chat box here. We did get one question here. This one's a little bit outside the scope of what we've been talking about today, but it is kind of the future of work. So we've got a question here about working from home and how that can decrease carbon emissions from commuting. Has DOL done any studies or work or looking at kind of what the shifts in the kind of office market, what kind of impacts that's having, or if we're seeing more opportunities for folks because they can work fully remote?
So I don't think that we've done any formal studies as far as like understanding the impact of carbon and emissions from remote work, but I know that there's plenty of third-party studies and articles out there that have shown that just reducing your commute 1 day a week can significantly help offset greenhouse gas emissions. I think one of the positives that came from the pandemic was that the state was able to overhaul their systems very rapidly to allow for telecommuting. And I think that many private organizations use telecommuting as a way to hire and retain talent. So I don't see telework going away anytime soon.
And I will add that we here, thank you to Linda, have a carpooling program. So it's one of the way that we do encourage like decreasing the pollution is, carpool with one of your colleagues, whether that they're at the Department of Labor or they're somewhere else nearby.
Thanks, Jill. Also, I can't take full credit for this. Um, I will put it in the chat as well. I mention this as much as I can, but there is a website that I think everybody that's on this call should take advantage of. It's called 511 New York Rideshare. I include this in my new employee orientation every 2 weeks. This provides information on carpooling. It actually also has a really great tracker for within the carpool page of understanding what your commuter savings are, as well as your greenhouse and CO2 emissions reductions are. So if anybody wants to see what that could be from telecommuting or carpooling, feel free to check it out.
Yeah, that is a fantastic resource. Happy to hear that you're promoting that. So
Oh, I
thank
use it all the time, Brendan.
So we had another question here. A lot of what we've talked about today revolves around kind of what I would consider full-time jobs, kind of career paths. Have you seen any options for kind of part-time positions if folks are retirees or others that are just looking for part-time work in the clean energy economy?
I will say that is going to be one of the questions that the Office of Just Energy Transition is going to ask, because there are a lot of predictions of the workforce near the retirement age and what that means if they're going to switch over to clean energy and all of the considerations that have to be put with that. So while we don't have an answer right now, that is something that we plan to be considering in the next 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and I'm glad to hear that you're looking into that. So just a reminder, folks, if you do have additional questions, feel free to type them into the chat box here. I know we've got a lot of resources here for folks to look over. And while we're seeing if there's any final questions that come in, Jillian or Linda, is there anything you want to leave folks with today? Any kind of final parting messages for them?
Yeah. Again, I can't stress enough that while the growing pains of switching to a circular and clean energy economy are going to be there, the good far outweighs the bad when it comes to job creation and overall impact to the environment, both nationally and within the state. So the future is bright.
And hopefully that brightness is shining on some solar panels and we're getting some electricity.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
is there anything that we didn't ask you today that you wish we did?
Ooh, not myself, but Jill.
I think all of the questions were very good, so I don't think we left any stone unturned today.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you both very much for presenting today. This was really informative. We've left our viewers with a lot of resources. So hopefully they'll be able to learn quite a bit more about this as well. As a reminder, folks, this was being recorded. We'll get this uploaded so you can share it with others that might not have been able to make it today. Or look back at some of the resources. And again, our next webinar is going to be on May 9th at noon, and it's going to be on avoiding conflicts with bears and coyotes. So thank you very much, everyone. Have a good day and enjoy the nice weather.
Awesome. Thanks, Brendan. Thanks, everyone.